Hello, how are you? This is Els coming from Bemis Crafty Corner. Today I have a viewer request. The original video for this will be in the description box below. You can go over there and check that out. And I encourage you to do that maybe before you even proceed to watching this video. But I had a viewer that reached out to me and said, hey, can you do this? And I said, let me take a look at it. So I went over and I watched the video. Fantastic video. I actually watch that creator all the time, and I love her stuff. So I went ahead and watched the video, and as usual I watched it in like 2 times speed because it's a little slow for me, but basically what it was is it's 2 envelopes and it's a notebook. So you have a pocket in the front, a pocket in the back, and then you have a notebook that goes in the middle, and it's using these traditional envelopes, which is fantastic, except that here in the States there's a couple of issues. One, for this size of an envelope, the squared top is actually more normal. It's more common. That's one. 2, it's easier to work with, and we're gonna do something a little bit more to reinforce this portion, because this is originally a book page, and I just don't think that that's going to be strong enough to hold some paper in there for a long time. And since this is designed to go inside of a journal, or, you know, just throw it in your pocket, or, you know, in your pocketbook or whatever, your purse, I think this needs to be stronger. So I'm going to go ahead and do my version of this, and I hope you enjoy. I'll be back in a little bit to give you a list of supplies. Be right back. Alright, so what are we going to need to do this? Well, we're going to need some cardstock. And let's take a look. Envelopes. We're going to need some envelopes. Now, there's 2 different basic types of envelopes. These that have the triangle flaps, and these that have the little square flaps. Now, I like the ones with the square flaps because they're easier to work with. These are a pain in the dupa. These are easy. Plain colors are good, but if you want to use, you know, some color, that's fine too. Paper Studio, these are 5 1/4 by 7 1/4. They're $4.99, and of course, you know, they always do this thing at the Hobby Lobby. You know, anything that's marked to Paper Studio is 40% off or whatever. Right now, you can get them reduced. Some of the colors are reduced to $1.24 for these, and there's, I don't know, like 20 of them in there, I think. But we're going to go with the beige ones today. And so I've got 2 envelopes. I have 2 pieces of solid, thin cardstock. By the way, these are double-sided, so they're one color on one side, one color on the other. And some scrapbook paper. This is paper. Okay, about 28 pound. Glue, ink, and a nice thick piece of cardstock to go in the middle. So what I have in the middle here is about it's 110 pound Recollections. So that's what we're going to be using on the inside, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and clear this off my desk. I'm going to get out my trimmer, and we're going to get started cutting the paper down. I'll be right back. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be cutting the piece for the inside. This piece here. And each one of the envelopes is 5 1/4 inches. So that's 10 1/2 plus 1/8 in the middle. So it's going to be 10 5/8. So really, we're just cutting a very small piece off. This is 1, 2, 3, 3/8 of an inch, okay? We're just cutting that part off. And then the height of our cards, because we want to cover the entire inside. So we're going to be cutting this at 7 1/4 inches wide. Okay. All right. So that is our inside piece. I'm going to grab our 2 envelopes, and we are going to put them open with the flaps facing the outside. And this is going to go right here. And everything's going to line up. We want to line up the edge of our paper, top and bottom, and to the fold, okay? So, glue. Now, if you want to use glue and tape, that's fine. Now, if you cut this piece properly, when you put this together and you line it up right, you'll have that automatic 1/8 of an inch in the center, okay? So, paper right at the top there. Lining it up top and bottom and lining it up along the fold edge, okay? Flap folds out. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on the other side, and you're going to see when we put these together, right there, see that little gap? We want that gap, okay? Again, I'm making sure that the flap is facing up. I'm lining this up right along the edge. And right across the bottom. Leaving that little gap. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this and put it in our scoreboard. So I'm going to get my scoreboard out, my scoring tools. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're going to put this on the scoreboard, and what we want to do is we want to score down between the two. Okay. A couple of light scores is always better than one deep score. Then we're going to fold this in half, lining everything up. There we go. So we now have our book. It is the same as this one, just without the angles. Okay, so that is what you're looking for. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put the scoreboard away. I'm going to get out the rest of the paper, and we're going to get started on getting the rest of this put together. I'll be right back. So we are going to want to cut 3 pieces of paper. We need a paper for the flap, paper for the inside flap, and a paper for the outside. And we have to cut that twice because we have 2 flaps, 2 insides, 2 outsides, okay? So let's go ahead and bring in our trimmer. And we have to kind of decide where the paper's going to go, okay? So on this one, I have kind of a basic pattern here, then something very elaborate and plain colored here, which I think looks nice, but for this one, we're going to kind of reverse this a little bit. So I'm going to cut my flap first. So I'm going to be cutting my flaps first. And my flaps are 7 inches by 2. And there's a little bit of an angle here. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to cut a couple of 2-inch strips. Those are my 2 flaps. And then I need to cut my base piece, which is 7 by 3.5. And I think I'm going to use this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, let's see, it's kind of directional, so I just want to make sure I get it right. I'm going to cut 3.5. And then I'm going to cut a second one at 3.5. And then I'm going to cut these at 7. So these are going to be my 2 outside flaps. And then I have to cut the piece that goes inside here. And for that, I'm going to actually be cutting a piece that is 7 by 4.5. So I'm going to cut this one to 7. And then we're just going to cut 2 4.5-inch pieces. All right, so that is all of the cutting that we're going to do on the trimmer. So, now these pieces should fit pretty good just right there. You just put them right down, no problem. Remember, these are the outside, so it's not like they're going to be on top of each other. So I'm going to ink these so they can get put down. Then this piece is going to go inside. All right. And it's going to go just like that, with just a little bit showing at the top, a very thin line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pencil to kind of mark top and bottom where my fold is, because I'm going to want to score these. So I have both of those that need to be scored, and then these are our outside flaps, and they fit nicely top to bottom. But here's the thing, let's take a look. When we flip it over, you see how we have this little, like there's an angle, top and bottom, see that angle? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top and I'm just going to trace that angle there on one side, all right? And then I'm going to just shimmy it down. Let me show you this. About 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to draw that same angle on the other side, all right? So now when I cut this, it should be just a tiny bit smaller than the flap, okay? So let's do that cut first, and then we'll go ink everything. So I'm going to take my 2 pieces and put them together. I'm going to put them in my trimmer, and I'm going to put that line right where I cut. And then I'm going to do the other side as well. And as you can see, it's just a tiny little angle, okay? Ever so slight. So now we're going to measure this and make sure that it fits. And there it is. Tiny little bit all the way around. Perfect angle. All right. So now I'm going to ink this all the way around. I'm going to ink these. I'm going to ink these. And we're going to do a little bit of quick scoring on these. So we already have our measurement. We know where it needs to fit. Okay. And again, this has to have that little angle on it. So what I'm going to do is from that line, I'm going to put that line right on my cut bar. And just very slightly give it a little angle. Okay, doesn't have to be much. All right, then onto the scoreboard. And it looks like that's about 2 3/8. All right. My bone folder. So now I have my insides. These are going to go right in here. They're going to match up. There you go. A little bit of line all the way around, okay? So, ink, 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 and ink. And we'll be back. All right, so once we have everything inked, we can start assembling. Let's go ahead and open this up. We're going to start by putting on our inside pieces. So let me grab my glue. Now, you could tape these down if you want to. It's not a stress point. But I like glue. All right. Alrighty. So now we have that part down. Let's glue these on. This one. Now just be careful when you put this on that you get that angle going in the right direction. Otherwise you're going to be really mad at yourself. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and put in our inside pieces. And here's the thing, we're not going to glue this part. I'm just going to put that in. And the part that we're going to glue is the top flap. Get my bone folder here. Press all of this. Turn it over and we'll do the other one. The reason I'm not gluing this part is because when you put this in and you attach it, as you open and close this flap, you want this to have movement, okay? This is going to move ever so slightly. You don't want to tear it and you don't want anything to buckle, So if you just don't glue that area, it's going to make it so that when you open and close it, that paper in there has a little bit of a give. Okay, so now I have a pocket here, and I have a pocket on the other side, and I have my space on the inside for stuff. So when I come back, we're going to put a pocket in here. We're going to stitch in a little notebook, and this should be ready to go. I'll be right back. All right, so I have the piece that's left over from the inside here. And what we're going to do is create a pocket on the inside for this. So I'm just going to put a little ink. I don't think this really needs a finger pull because it's not that deep of a pocket. And then it is 2.5 inches. So I'm going to cut a strip of this that's 2 1/4. And this is 7 1/4, so I'm going to cut this down to 7. All right, I'm going to go ahead and ink this, glue it onto that, and then we'll make a pocket on the inside. And then we're going to stitch in some notebook paper because that's what this is. It's supposed to be a notebook. Just double checking my math. Alrighty. So, as always, I'm going to include some cutting measurements, but they are going to be for this specific style and size of envelope, which is a 7 1/4 by 5 1/2. 5 1/4. 7 1/4 by 5 1/4, okay? So, here we go. Pocket right there. Make sure we got exactly where we want it. Okay, we need to take a little teeny bit off of here. Scant amount. Okay. Re-ink that, and let's put glue on 3 sides and get this in. Now, in the original video for this that was sent to me, which I will also link down in the description, there was actually pockets here, and I think that compromises it a little bit, so I took those out. Alright, so now I have a little pocket over here, and then we're going to take some paper. I got about 5-6 sheets here of some notebook paper, some lined notebook paper, and we're just going to kind of find the right position, and we're going to poke some holes. One there, one there, and right there. Now, I don't need to worry about doing 5 on this because it's so small, okay? If it were any bigger, I would probably do a 5 hole. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stitch this in. We don't need to watch me do that part. And then I'll be back, and we will go ahead and take a look at the finished project. I'll be right back. Okay, so this was our prototype. We used the traditional envelope. And so we have a pocket on this side, and then inside would be a notepad, and then we'd have a pocket on this side as well. And that is the prototype. This is the one that we've made together. And I just have a little piece of seam binding here. It's not even attached, just to hold it closed. And so I have my pocket on this side, and we did not glue this portion down so that it has a little give there. And then on this side, same thing. And if you open this up, we've got a little pocket here, and then we have our notebook paper. You could put an additional pocket on this side if you want to. That is entirely up to you. But I used what was left from this paper and this paper to make this. So that's it, okay? I will put the measurements for this size envelope in the description. And a link to the original video. Okay, that's it. That's all I have for you today. If you're new here and you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit the button for me and subscribe. Like me, ring my bell, share me with all your friends. Check out my community tab here on the YouTube channel, or scoot on over to the Facebook group. There's a link in the description box below, and that is going to tell you everything that we've got going on. There's some really great community events and community games going on in the Facebook group, and you're more than welcome to join us, including our annual challenge that is also going on, that is open to everyone. And till I see you again, stay well, my friend. Bye-bye.